in Joe Davidson. Joe's busy today. You don't have time to listen to us goof around.
Oh man,
Joe
my day
Davidson.
is better listening to you guys.
What's
Joe,
up,
what's
buddy?
up, man?
How you guys doing?
We're
Oh,
good.
thanks
We're
for making
good.
time for us, man. Yo, let's start with Sac State, Joe. How about
Yeah.
let's start with this. What's that mean for Sac State moving forward? Like, how could this season, how could this season ultimately turn out for the Hornets?
Well, I think they could run the table
Mm.
within realistic terms. They could go 11-0 and win out the rest of these Big Sky Conference games, and then get the number 1 and number 2 FCS playoff bid, and have 3 or 4 home playoff games. And so it's right there. So what's the potential? They could win it all. That sounds outrageous, but if you're already ranked second in the country, then you're right there in the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So help me out, Joe, because I was trying to figure this out. They're FCS, the playoffs, all this other stuff. Are they in the same? I don't want to say division, but would they?
When do they play Alabama? Is what Kenny was asking.
In our dreams.
Close when NCAA football comes back out, the football game, because next year they'll play Alabama. But close. Do they have potential of playing Jackson State?
Yes, because Jackson State. So we have the football bowl series, which is the Power Five, which is the Alabamas and USC and Cal and Stanford and Ole Miss and Florida, all the teams we grew up following. Penn State and all that, Michigan, Ohio State. And then you have the FCS, which used to be for decades is the Division I AA, if the guys we just mentioned were Division I. And so Jackson State, coached by Deion Sanders, NFL Hall of Famer, never short on ego and opinion, which I think is fabulous and fun. He has injected a lot of life into Jackson State, a historically black college. He's getting some feelers from SEC schools, or maybe that's just speculation, but he's certainly a great brand for what he's done there. And look what he's done. He's gotten commitments from some top tier 5-star athletes who turned down Alabama and schools like that because they want to go play for prime time. And he's telling them, I know how to get into the NFL. I have contacts and you have those skills. That's a hard thing to turn down. So that's cool at that level. Really cool.
If they play Jackson State at Hornet Stadium.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God.
Be lit.
And Troy Taylor would be the home coach with no security detail. Deion Sanders would have a posse of security detail to protect him and his posse.
And needed. Like, and
yes, you're right.
I'd be there trying to get hey D Prime.
Have you guys seen Deion Sanders? He can't walk anymore. He used to be the fastest guy. Now he kind of hobbles.
Yeah.
I think he's got bad feet.
Yeah. Didn't he have a toe amputated? I think he did.
Let's not get that serious.
No, I think he did because something happened. I think he did. Like not too.
He had. I think that's what ended his NFL career. Is he had the turf toe? What is the turf toe? When you roll the big toe under.
Oh,
and you tear all those ligaments and that cartilage, and you could just hear that ripping and tearing of whatever. And I'm just trying to make Kenny queasy over here. And
it's working. It's working.
Yeah, working.
And then all of a sudden you hobble.
Oh man. Sac State and Jackson State.
I'm ready.
Stadium.
I'm ready. Let's go. At a Hornet Stadium. Coach Prime coming to
Let's go. It could happen. It could happen.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It could totally happen. Damien, I saw your appearance the other night with on the CBS affiliate with our mutual friend Sarah Hodges, and she was asking you what you thought of the Asher O'Hara, the guy who scored the tying touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown to beat Montana on ESPN. Those guys are amazing. He's the other quarterback. There's two quarterbacks, and Jake Dunaway's the other one, and he's the one who was passing, and so they got this great combo. It doesn't work if they don't believe in each other. Both of those guys have graduated, those two quarterbacks. So they're not trying to enhance their NFL hopes. They're doing it because they love it. And I think that's awesome. I mean, that's what you see in FCS football that you don't see in FBS football.
Yeah. Shout out to the crew at Sac State and everybody who showed out for the Sac State Hornets this weekend. It was definitely a very special sports day in Saturday. I want to get to all of the good stuff with high school football, but it seems to have been the case for your last couple of visits. There's some bad stuff. And I do want to say before you get into this story, the young man who was shot at Grant was my best friend's cousin.
Oh,
I have pictures of him and my godson together on my phone.
Wow.
And that is a frustrating, angering story that we're way too familiar with here in Sacramento.
Yes. And, I have a story that's on psychb.com now about, Grant football is back. Grant football is relevant, and it's great for Sacramento football when Grant is playing well. 0-9 last season, 1-9 the year before. Regional powerhouse, won section championship, state championship. But the one thing that the Grant Pacers in a gritty part of town, Del Paso Heights, we know it's a gritty part of town, is the gun violence over the decades unfairly labels Grant as a bad school. It might be in a bad part of town, but it's not a bad school. There's great teachers there. There's great coaches, good student athletes. I've seen it over the last 30 years. I've experienced it. I was there at Grant in 1996. We were all young then. I was on top of the press box. They were playing a non-league game against Hiram Johnson, coached by Max Miller, longtime Cordova coach, and some guy's peeling in the parking lot. And he peels out, and I look down behind the stadium, and he pulls out a gun as he's leaving the stadium and fires off a couple shots. And there was chaos. Nobody was hurt. But the league then was the Capital Athletic League, and that's San Juan, El Camino, Casa Roble. They refused to play Grant at Grant. And so the compromise was, okay, Grant will play day games. And the Pacers took it personal and won the section championship.
They beat El Camino that following Saturday, 82-0.
Oh,
84 to nothing.
I'm sorry, I shorted them 2 points.
You did an extra point conversion. And, and Damien, you're an El Camino alum. And the reason Coach Mike Albergini and Grant did that, and I'm not saying I agree, they said they badmouthed us. They didn't want to play at our place. We're going to give it to them. And we ran it up. So he admitted it. They called off the dogs after that, but there was a lot of, and that was 1996. That was 28 years ago. And so then JJ Clavo, this beloved Grant team leader, football captain, and hours before a football playoff game at Grant, Coach, I'm going to take these guys on a food run. And he drives a couple miles away from campus, and some guy just walks up to the car and fires bullets into the car, killing him, mortally wounding him and striking another teammate. A third teammate gets to the wheel and drives back to Grant High School. Well, why wouldn't you go to the hospital? Because they felt safer in their safe haven of going back to their home campus, which right there debunks that the Grant kids aren't afraid of their campus. They're offended by the idiocy of people with a gun. And so that coach, that player, JJ Clavo, died in Coach Mike Albergini's arms. He calls me moments after that. I got to talk to you. I may get fired by the district for reaching out, but I know you'll handle this well. And I pulled over and I taken quotes and I'm texting out a story to the Sacramento Bee about this, what just happened. And so it rocks communities. And the show of support for Grant after that 2015 shooting of JJ Clavo, who didn't deserve it, totally disconnected from the program, the shooter. So Grant finally played its playoff game a few nights later, and at least 50 area high schools showed up. It was a Monday night game, and they all wore their jerseys and their coaches, and the whole field was outlined by all these players in their school colors in an incredibly moving moment. It's the most moving thing I've ever seen in high school sports, of support and a moment of silence. And for JJ Clavo, a good kid who didn't deserve that, and his mother, Nicole Clavo, who's a powerhouse in this community, is still moved by that. And so then we have Friday night when Grant's playing for a Metro League championship against Monterey Trail and gives them a game right to the wire. Monterey Trail, ranked second by the Sacramento Bee, wins 49-42. Somehow during the late moments of that game, there's a shooting in the parking lot, and a 24-year-old, as you mentioned, Damien, gets struck. He dies later, and it's a Grant problem again. Well, no, it's not. Elliot Leach is a Grant assistant coach. He told me this week, these shootings are terrible. They're destructive. They hurt so many people. It's not a Del Paso Heights problem. It's not a Sacramento problem. It's an American issue with too much gun violence. That's the 50th homicide in the city of Sacramento. Way too much. And we've talked about this for years. And where's it going to get better? And so Grant is trying to pick up the pieces. And we got a lot of good things on campus. It's our 90th year of a school. We want to celebrate that. We got good players. Grant football's back. We're in the playoffs. But that image is there. And meanwhile, a shattered lives and a death. And it's like, it's unfortunate that's happened. It's just awful for people who lose lives, people who are impacted by that, and for a school that has done the right thing. This isn't a Grant problem. That coach was right. Elliot Leach was right.
And it's really upsetting to see these things happen anywhere, but specifically at a school like Grant. I'm from the city, so I know the Burbanks and Sackheim, McClatchy. Obviously, they played at Hughes and everything, but I know Grant, and in that neighborhood, there's so much pride in their sports programs over there. Like the neighborhood.
Kenny, there's so much pride about the campus. So I'm walking through the campus on Tuesday, and it looks like a setting from 1932 because it still looks like it's 1932. And there's all these banners, we love our Pacers for life and all that. There's no graffiti. Nobody tears these signs down. There's no graffiti anywhere on campus because the kids like their school. Yeah. And they're prideful of their school and they're defending of their schools. And JoJo McCray is their senior quarterback. And I got him quoted in our Sacramento Bee story online now. And he said, people think Grant's a ghetto, troubled, chaos school. Because it's not true. He transferred from Real into high school into Grant, went 0-9, was the quarterback who endured all those losses. And he goes, I'm proud to be here. Yeah. That's awesome. That's the voice that matters most. But it's a blow to the, it's the game against Laguna Creek this week will be played in Del Paso Heights. It will be played on Friday. There'll be extra security, but this may sound ludicrous to some, but you're safe at a Grant game. I've been to dozens of Grant games over my 30 years at the Bee, and I've never felt unsafe. I've seen more chaos and or equal amount at other schools. And we'll go back. We'll have another reporter go back. Chris Biederman was there last week. He'll go this week. We're not, and I'm glad they're going to keep the game there, Kenny and Damon, because to move the game to yield to the outside forces that have nothing to do with the school or the game.
Well, and what I was saying, Damien, I've been to a couple of Grant games. It's been a while since I've been there, but I've been to a couple. There's so much alumni that come back to that game. There are guys that sit in the stands with their Letterman jackets on that graduated from Grant 40, 50 years ago, and they're at the football game. And that's what I say, when that community, that DPH community, they love Grant.
Yeah,
they love Grant, and it means so much for them, to see the kids doing something, but for their sports programs and things of that nature. And I just hate that.
Big time.
I hate that it happened in general, but I hate that community once again that school gets marred by something like this, because
exactly right.
Those people that attended that school and live in that community, they love that school.
Well, and you think about there's 2 youth feeder programs in the Del Paso Heights, and they're bursting with enrollment numbers or participation numbers. So the kids in Del Paso Heights, they want to be Grant Pacers. They want to be in that locker room. They want to be on that field. They because it's been there forever. And Shaq Thompson is one of Grant's great alums. First round draft pick of the Carolina Panthers in his 7th or 8th year with the Panthers, still a starting linebacker with the Carolina Panthers. And he NFL Man of the Year nominee by his teammates because of his giving to the Charlotte community and to the Grant community. And these younger players, they want to be the next Shaq Thompson or JoJo McCray. And I think that's awesome. And, but you're right. It's no different than what's happened at Burbank or Sac High or even McClatchy, where, that's a city school. Well, that's not fair. Go talk to those kids on campus in any of those schools. And they're as genuine as you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, what's next for Grant, and what's next, in the region as high school football starts to get closer to the end here?
Yeah, well, so we got week 10 tomorrow, Friday night, for the last regular season game, and then the Sac Joaquin section playoffs start November 4th. We'll have 7 divisions, more than when Kenny was around, more than when Damian was around. But there are so many. It's actually a good thing. People complain. People are conditioned to complain. It's too many, divisions on. Well, you tell that to the school that's got 125 kids. Shouldn't they compete for a Division 7 championship at Woodland Christian or Delta High School in Clarksburg? So those playoffs will start. There'll be 80 teams spread over 7 divisions. We certainly know Folsom or St. Mary's of Stockton will be the top seed in Division 1. Del Oro, Manteca are looking for the top seeds in Division 2. Division 3 is Capital Christian or Christian Brothers, Vista Del Lago, schools like that. And away we go. The smaller schools are predominantly dominant in the 209, the Hillmore, and some of the schools down there, and Sutter up in this Yuba City area. So it gets real fun starting next week. It's starting to feel like football weather. So this is week 10. We've got 6 more weeks because it's a 16-week season. Not everybody plays 16 games. There are some buys in there, but that's how long it takes to decide a state championship. And I'm okay with it. Let's go. As long as it doesn't rain. It doesn't rain around here anyways.
So state championship is still in Southern California. Southern California gets football and we get basketball, right?
Correct. And so the CIF, the governing body, always puts it out for bids for state basketball, state track, state wrestling, state football. And they're looking for venues to put a bid in. Sac State won that bid a few years ago and had it for 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's been held in Southern California because they keep presenting the best bid. It's not a money gouging thing. Mm-hmm. You want to get a fair deal so the CIF doesn't have to charge $30 for a ticket. Now, Golden One has had the state basketball tournament because of a better bid. Nobody in Southern California is putting up good. Where's USC? Where's UC Irvine? Where's any of those schools? Where's UCLA? They don't. Pepperdine. Nobody wants to put in a decent bid. Not going to do it for free. And Arco Arena for all those years had the section championships and the NorCal finals and the state championships. And so the Kings have done a great job, whether it was the Maloof ownership group or Vivek Ranadiva ownership group. They've done a great job working with the CIF and the local schools. We want to make it workable. So they do it. It's such a good deal, you can't turn it down. Yeah. And I think that's a great thing by Vivek and the Kings to, the Kings are on the road anyway. So why not show off your facility and give these players what the CIF wants is a wow factor, where a kid goes in there and goes, oh my goodness, we're playing on an NBA arena. Years later, they won't remember who won the game, perhaps, especially if they lost. But they'll remember that they played in that great venue.
I always remember 2000 playing against Jesuit in on the semifinals. That's when they had the semifinals
at Arco.
Us and Jesuit at 8 p.m. We had the late game, and that lower bowl was rocking for that game. Yes, and we lost. It was but
you guys thought Arco, we're going to Arco, and the score doesn't matter. All these years later, it would matter if you won. We get that, but the fact that you lost, you say it was at Arco.
Yeah, absolutely.
I played in Arco once in a celebrity basketball game.
How'd you do? Did you stretch, pickle juice, all the works?
No, I was the last substitution in with Mark Cuban.
With Mark,
me and Mark Cuban were the last 2 to check into the game, and it was cold when you consider who the coach of my team was. But yeah, I was the last to check in, and it didn't go well.
Who was the coach?
Kara Lawson.
Oh, yeah. Well, she knew your game or lack thereof.
All right, Joe. Thanks for joining us.
She probably said, Damien, I want you to set a screen, be fundamental, box out. We worked over that. And if you get the ball, outlet it, give it to somebody else. This isn't youth ball or something like that.
I think Kara was talking to the media. She got the whole game plan. That's what I was told. I can't remember who was out there. It was just. It wasn't even get the ball to so-and-so. It was just get the ball to somebody else. You're really good at rebounding. You do that a lot. Just rebound it and just give it to anybody else.
All
right, coach. Got it. I had them Chime Moneki minutes or them KZ Akpala. I got 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
I bet y'all won, though. You know what I'm saying? Your defense locked up Dante Green or something like that.
And Kara Lawson, by the way, coaching Duke. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
And what's the video that's gone viral? Her motivational, inspirational speaker. She's a
We got a couple of
powerhouse,
them.
proven player, terrific broadcaster, great leader. What a gift for Duke to have somebody of her caliber and her reach and her ability to communicate in charge. It's awesome.
She had a video where she talked about handling hard better,
Mhm.
and it's gone. It's like uber viral. They made T-shirts out of it. She speaks to companies and organizations and even other sports teams.
She's never
because
gonna
of that
stop.
video.
She's never gonna stop coaching. But if she ever did, she's just gonna turn into a motivator. She's
She could
gonna
be a
fly
speaker.
around the country
She
speaking.
could be a speaker.
Yeah. It's good to see James Ham coming in 25 minutes late.
Joe, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for making some time for us, man. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Damian. Thank you, Kenny. And
Man,
James
thank
Ham,
you.
take it from here. See you guys.